I was raised at a time when the men were in the war and the mothers were working, so I was by myself a lot. Somehow that was, what we did as children, climb trees, but it wasn't the climbing. We didn't just climb trees, we played in trees like monkeys. We really spent hours and hours in trees and made long rope swings and did cartwheels, and that was a large part of how we spent time. So it was always there.
But a lot of children have the beginning like this, but not all go to dance or investigation.
That's true. I was struck by a story that a geometry teacher told me. He was telling us about somebody who was very clever with geometry, but he never did well on tests because he always went back to the beginning and proved every step. He didn't accept the theorems, as proved. And so he was always slower than the rest because he took more time to prove the basics, and then he would work from there. And somehow I translated that to the body, that I had to understand the basics before I could go.
Not just believe in the truth, but just...
Not just learn the tricks, but figure out the principles, I think is sort of what the message was for me. So I've been looking at what are the principles, We're given this great thing, the body, but we're not given very much in the way of an instruction, user's manual for it, so...
Yeah. But how is the passage to dance? How is dance in your life after that?
I didn't see any place else to study the basics that I was interested in. I thought maybe dance had them. Then I studied dance and performed and studied many kinds of dance, and I kept not finding the basics.
That's still in Texas or in New York?
By this time in New York, when I was performing. So I was looking for the basics, and then I found Aikido. I studied that. That seemed more basic. Seemed to be more, but even when they teach Aikido, what they did in those days was send a Japanese master from Tokyo and put them in Chicago or New York or Los Angeles or Paris or someplace, and said teach. Well, they had no language really. They didn't know how to break it down carefully. And I taught with my master. I taught children at one point with my teacher, Aikido teacher. And he wasn't a very good teacher of children because he couldn't...
You taught together?
We taught together. And I had language, and he had charisma. So together we managed to control the children a little bit, but there were a lot of kids. And we were trying to teach them technique, which children, it takes a kind of concentration that comes later to really work on technique by itself. And then, as it happened, I thought I was retiring. I moved to Vermont. I thought I was finished. I thought now I'm really outside the...
That's how long time ago? There was contact improvisation already?
No.
Before.
Yeah, this was the step toward it. And so I was up there on this farm. I didn't have a telephone. I didn't have, I was really isolated, yeah. And I got a message to come and teach at Bennington College. I went to Bennington College, and it's one of the most expensive educations in North America. Really very expensive. And so the students who went there were very privileged, rich, and I decided that they needed a martial art, that they were just too privileged and they really needed to learn how to protect themselves and learn those principles. And I started teaching it, and it was impossible. They just couldn't get it. It was crazy trying to teach. The way my teacher had taught me, I mean, the situation of teaching an Aikido rule, I could not get them to understand what I was talking about. They just didn't have the concepts. So I started developing contact improvisation. Because I thought, first of all, I have to get them out of their Western dance mind and into something a little bit more general. And then we can come back toward technique. And so that was that transition. Yeah. And at the same time, working on contact improvisation started to change my body and my dancing. Because it's all a big feedback system, isn't it?